I think that if you take a look at the number of approved drugs from the Orphan Act was instituted in 1983. So from a few to over 400 diseases that have marketed drugs over time. Of course, not all of them are in patent right now. That and the incentives for drug developers. They get a designation, the FDA designation, the Orphan Drug designation, and then they get 7 years of market exclusivity, which means the 7 years, the clock starts from when you launch, not when you submit paperwork, which means they get 7 full years to do sales for all the time and investment that they put in. And if you look at the number of designations that the FDA has given, it's increased from 150 to 200 12 years ago, amount of that they give on an annual basis, and it peaked at 480, I believe, in 2017. So each month there's 25 to 30 designations that are given out to various companies of various diseases, and our database has about 750 unique diseases. Now, all those numbers are big, but when you put it in proportion to 9,000 diseases, it's only a fraction that's getting developed or getting marketed. So we're talking 8 to 12% of potential amount of diseases that are actually being developed. So part of my drive towards this sector is to start talking to companies and thinking about companies and stakeholders is thinking about how we can do things on a completely different scale, because the regulatory environment needs to change, the pricing and access needs to change, so the people who develop it get compensated, there needs to be registries. It's the entire clinical development program was started for large-scale population health, so for cardiology or for stroke, and then you can get a certain amount of patients and it can be statistically significant. In rare diseases, you'll have 5 patients, 8 patients. You can't judge them on the same criteria as a non-orphan indication. So as we start thinking about on a per disease level, we also have to think about holistically how we can do this at a large scale. If I see, like for instance, if we have 700 some odd unique diseases that have clinical development, drugs in pipeline, if say 5 years from now that number jumps from 750 to 1250, I'll be happy, right? Because 500 more diseases got into effect. If out of 500 drugs that have been 500 different indications with drugs, if that number jumps to 700, 800, right? So it will take a fair amount of collaboration and talks and discussions and awareness and all those peripheral issues that sort of drive discussion and then drive action.